Welcome to the Embrace Strength podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Crocker. I am an experienced trainer and active life professional. I work with people who are struggling with nagging pain to get back to the activities they love without fear of re-injury. This podcast is here to educate and provide value to you on all things health, fitness, staying active, and personal development. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I hope you are surviving out there in this winter. I don't know where you are in the country or if it even is winter where you are, but it is winter where I am, and let me tell you, it is cold. I feel like I have not felt the warmth from the sun in months and months and months, even though that's dramatic, but it feels like that. So we are just out here doing the best. But with that being said, I am not here to talk to you about the weather today. I am here to talk to you some more about mobility makeover. And I'm going to be honest with you. So I have been coaching for 12 years, and I have been doing mobility assessments and specific strength testing with clients for 5 years now. And I can count on one hand the amount of people I've taken through the full testing and literally no problem show up. That means the majority of people who I've done testing on, there's always something that comes up, whether it's a mobility issue or a strength issue or what. There's always something when it comes to experiencing nagging pain or having mobility issues in a movement, okay? And it's not just about finding these issues, right? Identifying and finding the issues is one part of the equation. But the other part of the equation that you have to have in order for this to work is you have to know what to do with the results in order to make changes. I feel like I see one side of the camp or the other with coaches. It's like you guys know specific assessments to do, and if you know that piece of it, you don't really know how to program for what you find. You don't know really what to do with the results. You feel just kind of lost with there. There's a disconnect, all right? Or maybe you're somebody who doesn't know any assessments at all to do, and maybe your version of assessments are like, all right, let me see your squat, let me see your press, let me see your deadlift, things like that. And there's definitely more layers underneath that need to be looked at before you even watch somebody do a movement. So anyways, there's two pieces to the puzzle here. You gotta know how to find the issues and know what to do with the results in order to create an effective program that makes changes. Because if you just have the assessments and you don't do anything with them, then they're worthless and a waste of time, right? And so if you are somebody who has some clients on your roster that you feel like they're stuck, they're not able to feel the right muscles in certain movements, you can't get Sally to feel her glutes and her RDLs. All she feels is her hamstrings and her low back. You can't for the life of you get to figure out why she can't feel it in her glutes. And that's an issue, right? Maybe you have somebody who has the worst overhead press you've ever seen, and you're having them do these overhead presses, and you're just like, I don't know what to do next. I've tried all my cues. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know what's going on here. And you just feel kind of stuck. So if that is you are probably trying different exercises as a swap, or you're trying something to fix it, or you're just ignoring the issue entirely, which also is not a solution. So to get out of that stuck place, you have to do some deeper digging. You have to do a deeper dive into why the client is moving the way that they are. And here's an example. So I just put out a reel today about overhead mobility, about shoulder presses. And I put an example in there, and I'm going to share this example for you. Now, let's say you have that client that just has the worst overhead presses you've ever seen, and all your regular cues are not working. Let's look deeper. Here's how. You have them lay on the ground, and while keeping your arm straight, one arm at a time, they're going to bring that arm overhead while keeping the elbow straight. And the goal here is to get their fingertips to touch the floor while keeping their elbow straight. You're going to have them do one arm at a time, and then you're going to have them do both arms. And you're going to see, like, can they touch the floor? Is their rib cage flaring? Like, where are they feeling their restriction? And that's going to clue you in. It's going to clue you in as to whether or not this is a piece to the puzzle with why their overhead mobility looks so bad. So if you do have somebody who's limited in this specific test, here's what you do about it. You swap the exercise for something like a landmine press, where you're able to adjust how much range of motion the person is getting. So instead of trying to press directly overhead and in line with the shoulder, that person is going to press at an angle to whatever comfortable range of motion they can get and look really good. So landmine press is an option as a swap. And also, if you don't have a landmine, or your client doesn't have a landmine or a barbell to train with, then you can also use a band or a cable machine to do a similar exercise where you're doing an angled press. Not a chest press, but similar to an overhead press, except you're not going directly overhead. It's at an angle, again, at their appropriate range of motion. You're still getting in the same movement pattern. You're just working with the range of motion they have available. The client's going to feel a lot better after doing presses when they do this, because I bet the day after they do some overhead presses, their shoulder feels a little tweaky. And you know why? Because they don't have the range of motion to be pressing in that way. So when a client tries to do a movement that they don't have the available range of motion for, they're going to feel a little bit of a tweak or a little bit of extra soreness there. And so that is the swap that you make, while you are also working to improve their range of motion. Because again, the whole thing is we want to stop modifying. We want to solve problems. So yes, we modify the exercise to something that makes sense for the client, but also we have to work on improving the range of motion while we do that, so that we can get that full range of motion back. So a couple examples of correctives could be something like single arm dumbbell pullovers. All right. If you're like, I don't know what that is, type it into YouTube, okay? But that is an example of a corrective that you could implement in your client's warm-up that works on shoulder mobility. If that shoulder flexion test I talked about earlier is limited, that would be an example of a corrective you can put in their warm-up to improve it. Now, I'm going to say this caveat because it's a podcast and I can talk a little bit more than on Instagram Reel, but if they are limited in that shoulder flexion, they might also have other areas of the shoulder that need to be improved. For example, their shoulder internal rotation also might be really shitty, and so then you also have to work on their shoulder internal rotation. There's also a test for that, but it's usually not just one thing, especially when it's something like this. It's usually a couple of things that are playing a role in why the client's presses look like that. Anyways, my hope for you is that by listening to this, you get a little glimpse into what it looks like to go deeper with your client. It's not just about the overhead presses and making a modification. It's deeper than that. There's more to the story here and more pieces to the puzzle. And if you aren't able to uncover these pieces to the puzzle for your client, it's only a matter of time before they end up plateauing, or there's another issue, or they develop more nagging shoulder pains, or whatever it is. Like, it's not going to go away. These types of things don't go away. And so this is why I'm so passionate about helping coaches know what to do when this stuff happens, because I've seen it in clients. I've seen it through so many people across the years that I've been coaching. It keeps people stuck. Mobility issues keep people stuck, not only with their results, but also with how their body feels. And so I know if you're listening to this and you have clients, you want your clients to have the best results. You want them to look the best they ever have. You want them to feel the best too, because even if they look great, what if they have all these aches and pains? And then it's like, well, they probably are like, man, I just want to feel better now at this point. So anyways, it's not about knowing the right exercises all the time. It's about knowing the reasoning behind why you're programming them. And I hope that by listening to this, you understand what I mean by that, and how it's not just as simple as throwing a random corrective exercise you found on Instagram to your client, and you're not even sure if that's like the root of their problem. And so you could be wasting their time if you're doing that. Anyways, if you are a coach listening to this and you are like, man, I didn't know about any of these things that Ashley mentioned, and you want to learn more about it, about mobility issues in your clients, you want to be a problem solver, you want your clients to stop having to do so many modifications, you might be a good fit to my group program, Mobility Makeover. We are starting the next round March 6th. This will be my second cohort of this program, and I am really excited to run it again. It has a new name this time around. Last time I ran it, it's called Programming Through Pain. The program is exactly the same. I renamed it to Mobility Makeover because that's what you're doing. You're learning how to solve these mobility issues in your clients. So it's a 12-week program, and you are going to learn how to identify mobility issues and how to correct them in your clients. And it's something you will be able to seamlessly integrate into your programming you're already doing for them, and it's going to make your job so much easier. If you are interested in the group program, I will put the link to the landing page in the show notes for you to check it out. It has all the info on there. And if you have questions, DM me on Instagram, AshleyCrocker127. But the pre-sale is ending February 26th. So that means right now we have the best pricing and the best bonuses. So the one-on-one bonus that's going on right now until February 26th is you get 3 one-on-one calls with me to use throughout the program, so that you have my full attention on implementing this with your clients or implementing it with yourself. So I would love to see you there. And regardless, I hope this episode was helpful for you, and I will chat with you next time.